Hello and welcome back to a new video. Today's video is the next one in the series about creating your dream wardrobe, and this time we're going to be talking about dressing your body shape. But as I did with the one about colour, I wanted to do this slightly differently, and I wanted to present it to you in a different way that perhaps you haven't heard about before, because there is an awful lot of information out there about how to dress an apple-shaped body or a pear-shaped body, and I've even done videos on this myself as well. So what I wanted to do was try and give you something a little bit different to think about. So I'm hoping that it's going to give you some new ideas and some new ways to think about how you dress your body shape. Now, if this is your first time here, my name's Maria. I'm a personal stylist. I specialise in working with women over 50, helping them dress with confidence. So if that's something that you're interested in, then stick with me. So let's get into today's video. Now, some of what I'm going to talk about today might go against what a lot of personal stylists and image consultants might tell you about body shape. And the reason for that is I've seen an awful lot of information on the internet, videos, that kind of thing, which talks about how to give you the perfect body shape, or how to take your body shape and turn it back to the perfect body shape, which is deemed to be the hourglass body shape. And shock horror, I'm going to say that I don't actually believe in all of that. I think we've really got into a position where it's been determined that the perfect body shape is the hourglass body shape, and I want to kind of dispel that theory a little bit, because who determines what the perfect body shape is? I have said this before in previous videos, and it is something that I talk about in my Capsule Wardrobe Blueprint course. And just to take it back a little bit, let's talk about where this came from. Now, back in the days of Marilyn Monroe, the perfect body shape was determined to be this, what we used to call a full hourglass. You know, she had a really curvy body shape with a small waist. She was very curvy in the bust, curvy on the hips, and she went into this little waist. Now, Marilyn Monroe was actually a size 16, which I think a lot of people don't know, but it was decided that, you know, she had the perfect body and we all wanted to, or the women of the day wanted to look like her. Now, if you move on to, say, the 1980s, we had the supermodel. And the supermodel was kind of a much more athletic body shape. Her body wasn't quite as curvy and defined as Marilyn Monroe's was. If you think about somebody like Elle Macpherson, who was actually nicknamed the Body, she had a very athletic body. She had long limbs and she had muscles, and you know, she did have some curves, but her curves weren't as defined. And then at that time, everybody wanted to have a body like Elle Macpherson. And then you move on again, say, to the 1990s, and we have Kate Moss, and Vogue came up with the term heroin chic because she was so slim and quite sort of skeletal. And so women wanted to be like Kate Moss. And it has to be said that a lot of designers were designing clothes for that body shape because they thought that clothes hung much better on a body that didn't really have much shape. She was what my mum used to call straight up and down. You know, there weren't any curves anywhere. She didn't really have a waist. She didn't really have a curvy bust, and she didn't have curvy hips. She literally was very slim and straight up and down. And then we moved on to the Kardashian era, and suddenly what a lot of women hadn't wanted to be, the pear shape, suddenly became very popular. And, you know, this really sort of curved bottom area. And so we can't really say what the perfect body shape is, because depending on who you look at and how you feel, the perfect body shape changes. So we can't say there is one perfect body shape. So all of this information that's saying that what we want to do is get you into the hourglass shape is saying that that is the perfect body shape, and I don't believe that to be true. Your body shape is your perfect body shape, and body shape is nothing to do with size, because you can be a size 8 and be very curvy, and you can be a size 20 and not have curves. So it's nothing to do with how big or small you are or how much weight you've got. So that's the first thing that I want to say about body shape. And you don't have to be tiny to look good in your clothes. And what I'm going to tell you hopefully will help you understand how you can dress with more ease, because clothing is designed in a certain way that can make it quite difficult for you to dress what your shape is, and I'm going to come on to that. So that was the first thing that I wanted to say about body shape. There isn't a perfect body shape. We shouldn't be trying to be this perfect hourglass shape, because I don't believe that is the perfect shape. There isn't a perfect body shape. So if you take one thing away with you, then I hope if you're not an hourglass shape, that you're going to realise there is nothing wrong with you and you do not need to be fixed. And just going back to that thing about designers, now designers have to design in a shape because they can't design for every shape. It would be far too difficult for them to do. They can't have the same outfit in lots of different shapes. So the matter has been confused more by they have designed for a body shape that has the shoulders and the hips in line and has a defined waist. And so that's what a lot of clothes are designed as. And if that isn't your shape, which let's face it, probably 90% of the population doesn't have that as a body shape, then it's going to be a little bit more tricky for you to get dressed. And so rather than thinking about you have to be fixed, ideally what we want to think about is what is my silhouette, and finding clothing silhouettes that will work with that. So it's not about fixing you, it's about finding things that are right for you. Now, your first decision when you're looking at yourself and thinking about how you're going to find things that are going to work for you is I want you to have a look at the lines and the shapes of your body. And there are 3 categories here, and some of them can be combined as well, making up more categories. So the first one is the moulded person. Now, this is the person who has curves. And these curves will probably work all over your body. So if you look at me, I have curves in my face. I have curves in my body. I have a very curvy bust. Even when I was a size 10 many years ago, I had a very curvy bust. So my body is made up of curves, and that's what I call moulded. And again, it's not about size, it's about how the flesh sits on your bones. Then we have somebody that we would call a skeletal person, and Kate Moss is a great example of this. You can sort of see the bones in the shoulder and it creates a straight line in the shoulder. Sometimes you can see bones here as well. They might have quite an angular nose, they might have quite an angular chin. So when you look at them, what you're seeing is a lot of straight lines and angles. And then the third person is a muscular person, and this is somebody who has, a much more athletic type body and a lot more muscle to them. But this can also create curves. Now, the way that you dress these 3 different types of bodies is very different. And the one thing to really think about when you're dressing these different types of bodies is the fabrics that you use. Now, of course, you can have combinations of these as well. You might have quite an angular face, but perhaps have a curvy tummy. So the way that you choose lines of clothing and fabrics will depend on where you have curves and where you have straight lines. So I hope that you can see that by looking at these lines and these curves in your body, rather than fixating on whether you're a pear shape or whether you're a rectangle or whether you're an apple shape, makes it so much easier to think about how you dress those different areas of the body. So a couple of little tips for you on this. If you have curves on your body or where your body has curves, you want to use more fluid fabrics and more curvy lines. Where you have angles on your body or straight lines, again, you want to use straight lines in clothing, and you can use sort of stiffer and crisper fabrics. So if, like me, you've got curves in your face, you might want to choose a jacket that's got curved lapels on it, or a blouse that's got a curved collar on it. Whereas if you're somebody who's got a more angular face, then you're going to look better in sharper collars and sharper lines around the face. Now, even with this top, although it's a V, it's quite a curved V that I'm wearing here. And you'll often see that because I do have curves around my body, I will use more fluid fabrics that work better over the curves. If I were to put on a stiff cotton shirt over my bust, it's going to pull, and I'll probably end up with gaping even if it does fit me, because as I move and the shirt moves, it's going to pull across the curves of my body and not smooth over them. So this is one of the really key things about having comfort in your clothes, is finding clothes that work with the lines or the angles or the curves of your body. And again, as I said, fabrics are really important here. So a simple rule really is the more curvy you are, the softer and more fluid the fabrics need to be. If you've got straighter lines and you don't have many curves, then you can get away with those stiffer and thicker fabrics. Now, of course, your body does have a basic shape, so I'm not throwing out of the window the information about body shapes, because we all do have a basic body shape, or we could be a combination of a couple of body shapes, which can then make it more confusing. What I wanted to say really was that if you're looking at information about a body shape, it might say that, you know, you need this and you need this and you need this. And when you go out shopping, you're trying to think, now, do I need that shape or do I need that shape? And what shape should I have here? And it becomes really confusing. And you may well get overwhelmed and buy nothing because you don't know what you're looking for. Or you're looking for the perfect item that has this, 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 this and this, and you're not going to find it. So that's why I wanted to give you that information about the curves and the lines first. Now, obviously we can take into consideration our body shape as well, and there are 6 of these. And so I'm going to give you a little description about the 6 different body shapes that I work with. And just a couple of little tips for each one, because I don't want to overwhelm you and confuse you. And I promise you that if you take into consideration that information that I've already given you, that will take you so much further already. And when I give you the tips for each of the different body shapes, I want you to realise there's nothing in there about making you back into that perfect hourglass shape. They are all about ease and how to dress your body easily, because as I said, clothing is designed a lot of the time for that hourglass shape. So what we want to do is find shapes that are going to be easier for you to wear. So the first shape is the rectangle, and this is somebody who has their shoulders and their hips in line, and their waist is either the same width or maybe only slightly narrower. So they create that sort of straight line from their shoulder down to their hip. So this is somebody who can dress with straight lines in their clothing and in their outfits. So ideally, things like jackets want to be the same width at the shoulders as they are at the hip line. And you don't really want to emphasize the waist because you don't have a waist. And you want to keep those straight lines. So rather than, if you picked a shirt dress, rather than picking a shirt dress that comes in at the waist and flares out, ideally you'll pick one that is a straight line all the way down. Your skirts will be straight lines all the way down, rather again than something that perhaps flips out at the bottom, because you're not creating harmony with those lines in your body. And again, it is about the ease of getting dressed and also what looks harmonious to the eye. So by creating those straight lines, you're creating harmony, but you're also making it much easier for you to find things that are going to work on your body, because you're not fighting with the curve of, say, a bias cut skirt, which is all curvy, and it's just not going to sit nicely on your body, whereas a straight skirt is going to sit much better on your shape. Now the oval, or what is also known or has been called the apple body shape, is somebody who has their shoulders and their hips are probably in line with each other. The shoulders might be slightly narrower, but the widest part of their body is likely to be their waistline. So they are sort of creating that kind of shape, the oval or the apple. And from the side on, you don't see any waist indentation at all. What you might actually see is a curve outwards, both front and sometimes in the back as well. So you've got that sort of shape of the oval. And again, you want to find clothes for ease of wear that are going to mirror that shape. So you want clothes that will come from the shoulder and go out over the curve and then come back in so that they sit nice and smoothly over the shape of your oval body. Now you'll often have great legs if you're an apple or an oval shape, so that might be somewhere where if you're not keen on this sort of mid area of the body, you want to show off your great legs, so you could wear slimmer leg trousers because the oval is going like that, and then you can keep it slim going downwards. Then we have the triangle, or what is also known as the pear shape, and fairly obviously this is somebody who their hips are wider than their shoulders. Now they can have quite a small waist, so you can have a small waisted pear shape or triangle, and you can have a wider waisted pear shape or triangle. And in this case, again, to make it easy to dress, you want to find pieces that follow those lines. So you've got a line from your shoulder coming inwards to the waist and then going back outwards. So if you were to pick a shirt dress, you would pick one that goes in at the waist but then flares outwards, completely opposite to the rectangle person who wants to keep that line going straight down from the waistline and from the shoulder. So flared skirts are going to be great on you because they're going to come out over the hip, but you can define the waist as well. So if you are pear-shaped, it might be that you want to show off your waist. And then we have the opposite to that, somebody who's an inverted triangle. So they've got wider shoulders than they have got hips. And again, they could have a smaller waist or they could have a wider waist. And so again, what we want to do is follow that line that's going from the shoulders into the waist and then coming straight down, as opposed to flaring out again for the pear-shaped person. Now then we have the last two, and you might think that these are quite similar, and one of them you may not have actually heard of before, and this is the hourglass body shape and the figure of 8 body shape. Now the hourglass body shape, which I've already described to you, you've got shoulders and you've got hips in line, and you do have a really defined waistline. And this person will have a straight shoulder line. And so with their clothing, again, they want to mirror that kind of coming in and going out. So again, that sort of shirt dress that comes in at the waist and perhaps is belted at the waist and then flares out over the hips, so that we've got that defined waistline, but we're following out the hip line. Now with the figure 8 person, the difference is they do have probably shoulders and hips in line. Their shoulders might be slightly smaller, and they do again have a defined waistline. But this time their shoulders are going to be curved, and they have quite a curve on the hip as well. They might also have like kind of a shelf on the hip. So if you imagine them carrying a child on the hip, the child sits sort of quite comfortably on that hip area because it comes out sort of quite definitely after the waist. So with the hourglass person, they have a sort of arc shape that comes from the shoulder, goes into the waist and comes out to the hip, whereas the figure 8 person, it comes in from the shoulder, but then it kind of creates a shelf coming out over the hip, even though they have that much smaller waistline. And so with their outfits, what we really want to do is come into the waist, but then come in down towards the legs as well. So rather than having a flare out over the hips, we're going to come over the hips and then come in. So I hope you can see that with these different body shapes, what I'm doing, talking about these shapes of clothing, is not telling you how to turn yourself back into an hourglass. What I'm doing is showing you how to honour your shape, just to make it much easier for you to get dressed. Now, of course, there are tips and tricks that you can use. So you'll have heard of some of these tips and tricks before. Pear shapes are very often told to have detail up on the shoulder line, because then it balances the shoulder line out with the hips, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. And I do give my clients these tips when I do a body silhouette service for them. But what I wanted to do here was just make it a lot easier for you to understand how to dress your shape as it is. And I don't want to go into all of these tips and tricks of, you know, how to make your legs look longer and all of that sort of thing. What I'll probably do is make another video for that, because otherwise this video is going to go on forever. I think the image industry does have a lot to answer for, and I include myself in this because when I first trained, I was taught to dress people who were a pear shape, an apple shape, whatever, and teach them how to become that perfect hourglass shape. And I think what it's done is it's made a lot of women think that, oh, my body shape is wrong, or my body shape needs fixing. And until I really learnt an awful lot more and delved an awful lot more into this and really understood about these curves and these lines and thought a lot more about not putting people into boxes, and you'll know if you've been around for a little while that it's the thing that I hate with a passion, because we are all different, and who's to say what is better? And you know, there isn't a better or a worse, there just is. So I really wanted to go into much more detail myself about how to show people how to dress so that they feel comfortable and so that they feel confident. I think the issue is that when you try and say to somebody, this is how you should be dressing to become an hourglass, they may not be comfortable wearing that. You know, you're not honouring who you really are. What we're saying is, my body's not perfect, so I've got to try and make it better. And we don't need to do that. What we need to do is find ways to feel comfortable in our clothing and therefore feel confident in our clothing. So what I wanted to do is give you a little sort of exercise stroke challenge that you can do. And I want you to go into your wardrobe, and I want you to get out lots of different pieces of clothing in different shapes and try them all on, and then stand in front of your mirror and kind of look at them and think to yourself, do I feel confident in this? Is this piece of clothing showing off the bits that I like, or am I looking at myself and thinking, oh, I need to hold my tummy in this, or oh, I need to cover up my bust area in this? Am I fidgeting? Because if you are, you're not going to go out of the door in the morning and feel confident in that particular item. So it has no place in your wardrobe. The things that should be in your wardrobe are those things that you put on and you look at yourself and you think, yeah, I like that. And so what I want you to do is kind of make yourself two piles of the things that you liked and the things that you didn't like, and try and work out what is the common theme between them. So is it showing off an area of your body that you're confident with and you feel good about and you're happy to show off? Or is it showing off a bit of your body that is making you not feel confident? You know, is it something like a stiff shirt on your full bust where you're thinking, oh, I can't move because it's going to keep gaping? So try and work out what those common denominators are, so that when you go shopping next time, you can use that information that I've given you about the curves and the lines. You can use that basic information that I've given you about body shape to find pieces that are going to work on your body shape and feel comfortable, and to find pieces that will create harmony with the curves and the lines in your body. And I hope that's going to make it an awful lot easier for you to get dressed in the morning. And also, I really want to get across this message about your body does not need to be fixed. It does not need to be changed into a different shape. What it needs is for you to dress it comfortably and confidently. So think about those pieces of clothing that are going to work on your body. And I'll leave you with a little analogy that I very often used in the past, and it's something that makes it really easy for you to remember how to do this. So I want you to imagine that you're wrapping two gifts. One of them is ball shaped and one of them is a box. And you have a piece of soft tissue paper and you have a piece of crisp wrapping paper. Which of those are you going to wrap in which? Which is going to sit nice and smoothly over the ball shape, and which is going to create lovely lines and corners and straight edges on the box? So think about that, and when you're shopping next time, remember to look out for items that really work with either your curves or your straight lines. Your body shape is perfect for you, and all you need to do is learn how to dress it with comfort and confidence, and hopefully some of these tips will help you to do that. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comments section. As always, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. There are more videos coming in this series, which again I hope are going to provoke thought and conversation and help you to sort of break through some of these things which perhaps you've been blinded with science in the past, or perhaps you've been confused by, and just make it so much simpler for you to get dressed confidently in the morning. So with that said, I will say goodbye for this video and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.